Pity has a cost, and the one who pays is always the man who believes someone else's weakness is innocent. There is a detail almost no one notices. Danger rarely shows its teeth. It approaches with smiles, with tears, with tragic stories, and with the silent expectation that you will carry a weight that was never yours. There are 6 types of people who do not deserve your compassion, not because they are evil, but because they turn your empathy into a tool of domination. They advance while you hesitate. They grow while you justify yourself. They drain your strength behind the mask of need. The truth is simple. A man does not lose power when he is defeated, but when he becomes useful to someone who never respected him. Before you continue, ask yourself one question. Who exactly feeds on your goodwill? Type 1. The professional victim. He doesn't attack. He begs. And that is precisely how he gains power. The professional victim dominates through calculated fragility. He never takes responsibility, never admits intention, never reveals how closely he observes the reactions of those who carry the weight he himself should sustain. There is a pattern. He always appears at the exact moment you are most stable, when your life breathes, when your mind is focused. That is when he brings the drama. Subtle enough to appear legitimate, heavy enough to destabilize you. He doesn't want solutions and dependencies. What he wants is to keep you emotionally available, intellectually occupied, psychologically submissive. His fragility becomes the prison you don't realize you're building. In the workplace, he plays the role of the helpless incompetent. He makes mistakes, gets confused, victimizes himself, and someone must fix the damage. That someone is usually the most disciplined man in the group, the one whose conscience prevents him from abandoning someone else's chaos. While you correct, he absolves himself. While you hold everything together, he rises. Not by merit, but by absence of responsibility. In personal life, the tactic is even more refined. He approaches with tragic stories, unsolvable dilemmas, unstable emotions. He allows you to save him because saving creates a bond. And in this game, a bond is a leash. Every time you try to set boundaries, a new disaster appears, a new request, a new emotional collapse. This is not coincidence. It is method. The professional victim never strengthens himself. He perfects the art of making you work for his stability. And the more support you offer, the more he depends. The more he depends, the more control he exercises. Dependence is inverted domination. The one who appears weak commands. The one who appears strong obeys. Recognizing him requires inner silence. Observe how he reacts when you don't make yourself immediately available. Observe the sudden amplification of suffering, the rising curve of desperation, the narrative that becomes more dramatic in direct proportion to your indifference. This is not vulnerability. It is strategy. The only way to neutralize him is to cut the invisible link that feeds the cycle. Do not offer explanations. Do not justify absence. Do not assume guilt that isn't yours. The professional victim cannot tolerate men who refuse to carry the burdens of others. He withdraws when he realizes you don't move for tears or chaos or promises of redemption. Pity in this case is your exposed weakness, and he sees it before you even notice you're giving in. The issue is not who he is. The issue is what he reveals about you. Why do you continue sustaining someone who never returns anything but disorder? Type 2. The envious man disguised as a friend. He smiles, but the smile never reaches the eyes. He greets you, yet he observes too much. Every step you take forward is a silent threat to his existence. The envious man disguised as a friend does not wish for your immediate downfall. He wants something more sophisticated, that you never cross the threshold that exposes his mediocrity. He doesn't attack head-on. Confrontation requires strength, and strength is what he lacks. So he operates beneath the surface of relationships, in insinuations, subtle comparisons, small phrases that appear to advise but only diminish. He feeds on what you achieve, Not on the achievement itself, but on the fact that each of your victories reveals the distance between you. And that distance destroys him. Your presence becomes a constant reminder of what you are becoming and what he will never be. Observe the pattern. When you fail, he gets closer. When you evolve, he pulls away. He never celebrates fully. There is always a but, a highlighted flaw, a remark that accelerates doubt and slows down confidence. He wants you to question yourself. He wants you to proceed cautiously. He wants you to feel that you are always overstepping, always going too far, because his self-esteem depends on you remaining within a range he can reach. In professional environments, the game becomes even more subtle. He suggests that you wait a little, that you don't stand out too much, that people might take it the wrong way. He is not concerned with your reputation. He is concerned with his own shadow. The greater you become, the more evident his true size becomes. In personal relationships, the strategy shifts, but the goal remains. He tries to act as a confidant, an advisor, a voice of reason, but his words carry a low-dose poison, a faint discouragement, a critique disguised as concern, a doubt planted with surgical precision. The attack is never direct. The attack is psychological. Ambiguity protects the envious man. You feel the blow, but you cannot locate the aggressor. The defense is not confrontation. Confrontation turns him into a victim, and victims attract allies. The defense is silence. It is the gradual reduction of access. It is restricting what he knows, what he sees, and what he can attempt to corrode. The envious one needs information to strike. Take that away and he withers. He cannot hate what he cannot understand, nor compete with what he cannot predict. In the end, the question is direct. Why does someone who should root for you react as if your victories were personal offenses? The answer is simple, though few like to admit it. He was never an ally. He merely hoped you would remain small enough so he would never have to face his own irrelevance. Type 3. The weak man who demands strength from others. There is a kind of man who destroys nothing on his own. He simply waits for you to destroy yourself while trying to support him. The weak man who demands strength from others is not incapable. He is comfortable. He has discovered that there is a specific type of man willing to carry what he doesn't need to. The disciplined one, the upright one, the one who feels guilty for abandoning those who refuse to move. That is the perfect target. He approaches with the appearance of humility. He looks lost, looks confused, looks overwhelmed. But there is a detail. He is always like this, and always at the moment you begin putting your own life in order. The truly weak do not ask for constant support. They try to rise. The strategic weak man wants to be carried. He wants you to be the foundation of his life, and when possible, his shield. Watch how he behaves when you are focused. Suddenly, crises appear that only you can solve. Complications only you understand. Collapses only you have the ability to contain. None of this is coincidence. He measures your emotional strength, to know exactly where to place his weight. At work, he is the colleague who never delivers but always has an excuse. His responsibilities become yours. He drains your energy, your time, and your focus. Meanwhile, his incompetence remains invisible because you cover it with your effort. He rises without merit, protected by your discipline. This is how many men lose space to people with half their potential. In relationships, the mechanism is even more corrosive. He leans on your stability to keep his own chaos intact. He wants advice, attention, your presence, but he does not want to evolve. He uses you as an emotional anchor, knowing you rarely refuse someone in ruin. His ruin becomes your routine, and his routine becomes your prison. There is an invisible psychological cost in this type of bond. You start believing you are responsible for his balance. And once that belief forms, you lose your own. The strategy for dealing with him does not involve confrontation or accusation. Confrontation creates drama. Drama creates new dependence. The method is simple. Remove access, reduce involvement, remove immediate availability. Offer no explanations. Do not compensate his lack with your excess. A man who demands strength without offering structure is not just weak, he is dangerous. He destroys through exhaustion. He corrodes slowly. He turns you into an emotional provider until you have no energy left for yourself. In the end, the question that remains is silent and unavoidable. How many people are you carrying who should have already learned to walk? Type 4. The moralist without morality. He doesn't use force. He uses virtue. And behind every proper gesture lies a silent calculation of domination. The moralist without morality doesn't seek to be just. He seeks to appear just. His weapon is not truth, but reputation. He manipulates perceptions, not facts. And that is why many men fall before him without understanding how they were defeated. The tactic is ancient. Wear the mask of the good man to control those who fear being seen as bad. He points fingers, corrects posture, judges decisions. Not because he cares, but because each correction places him above you in the invisible hierarchy of social respect. He doesn't attack your real mistakes. He attacks your image. And image in the game of power is worth more than any inner virtue. In professional settings, the moralist operates with surgical precision. He criticizes what you do, never what he does. He demands standards he himself does not meet, yet no one notices, because he dominates the discourse of integrity. While you try to defend yourself, he gains ground, alliances, and influence. His reputation rises. Yours becomes questionable. He doesn't compete for results. He competes for narrative. The trap is simple. The more you try to prove you are correct, the more dependent you become on his approval, and that dependence is the soil where he builds his power. In personal life, the game is even more dangerous. He observes your human flaws, fatigue, irritation, ambiguous decisions, and turns them into moral ammunition. He uses your slips as currency. He makes you feel small for failing to meet a standard he himself never reaches. And when you try to question him, the response is always wrapped in moral superiority. I only want what's best. Nothing destroys a man's strength faster than guilt aimed in the wrong direction. The moralist without morality doesn't seek coherence. He seeks control. The rigidity he imposes on others is the same rigidity he refuses to apply to himself. He is an ethical imposter, sustained by the cowardice of those who fear confronting him. The defense is not to argue. Arguing is playing on his field. The defense is to take away what gives him power, your reaction. Morality only dominates those who fear judgment. When you stop justifying every move, his influence dissolves. The man who does not depend on approval is unreachable to those who try to rule through guilt. Silently, the inevitable question emerges. How many times were you condemned not for your flaws, but for someone else's need to appear superior? Type 5. The hidden competitor. He doesn't compete openly. Explicit rivalry is for the impulsive. The hidden competitor prefers silence, because silence doesn't reveal intention. This kind of person watches you with clinical precision. Every step you take is recorded, every weakness stored. He builds a map of your behavior to understand where he can surpass you without being noticed. He doesn't want your destruction. Destruction is noisy. He wants your position, and he wants to take it without you realizing when the ground began to shift. The hidden competitor praises you in public and questions you in private. He validates on the surface but creates cracks in your conviction away from other eyes. He doesn't attack your competence. He attacks your certainty. Because a man without certainty walks slowly, hesitates, doubts his own path. And it's in that hesitation that the hidden competitor advances. In the workplace, he creates strategic closeness. He shows interest in what you do, what you know, what you plan. But the intention isn't to learn, it's to anticipate. He uses information to position himself one step ahead of you. When you realize it, he's already occupying spaces that should have been yours, protected by the appearance of collaboration. In personal life, the dynamic is subtler. He becomes the trustworthy friend, the one who listens to everything. But what he truly wants is to understand your emotional architecture, to know what disturbs you, to know what drives you, to know where your ambition is most fragile. The information you give in confidence becomes the metric he uses to measure his own advancement. The hidden competitor does not confront your strength. He goes around it. He waits for you to exhaust yourself trying to be understood, trying to please, trying to justify your decisions. While you speak, he calculates. While you open up, he prepares. The defense against this type is not hostility. Hostility turns him into a victim. The defense is opacity. The less he knows, the less he can anticipate. Information is territory. Give it only to those who don't intend to occupy it. In the end, the question that echoes is simple. Who watches your steps with too much attention to be just a spectator? Type 6. The effective manipulator. He doesn't control through force. He controls through warmth. The effective manipulator doesn't invade, he envelops. And that is what makes him dangerous. He understands that humans lower their guard when offered attention, affection, and closeness. So he gives exactly that, but never consistently. He shifts between intense presence and sudden withdrawal. He pulls you in when he wants an advantage. He releases you when he wants control. This irregular movement is not carelessness, it is method. The oscillation creates dependence. The more you try to understand what he feels, the more he shapes what you think. The affective manipulator only appears fragile. The apparent fragility is bait. When he shows vulnerability, it is not a request for help. It is a psychological trap. He makes you believe you're accessing an intimate part of him, when in truth, he's only testing how willing you are to yield. In personal relationships, this dynamic is devastating. He creates moments of emotional intensity. Deep conversations, calculated confessions, gestures that seem too sincere to be strategic. And precisely because they seem too sincere, they are accepted without question. He knows this, and he uses it. Then comes the distancing. Cold, sudden, inexplicable. He doesn't justify it. He doesn't need to. His silence forces you to search for explanations within yourself, and the more you search, the further you drift from your own clarity. At that point, you are no longer trying to understand him. You are trying to regain the emotional state he induced. This is how effective domination settles in, not through what he gives, but through what he takes away. In social environments, the effective manipulator targets those who value emotional stability. He satisfies that need for brief moments, only to deny it again. The cycle traps you between expectation and frustration, the perfect ground for control. The defense is not confrontation. Confrontation creates drama, and drama is his natural habitat. The defense is establishing your own rhythm. Respond slowly. Do not explain your feelings. Do not chase what pulls away. Whoever controls the rhythm controls the bond. The effective manipulator only dominates those who still expect reciprocity. When you stop seeking coherence where it was never intended, he loses access to what he truly wants, your stability. And then comes the question few dare to face. How many of your emotions are truly yours, and how many were designed by someone who never intended to give anything back? The mistake isn't in feeling pity. The mistake is offering it to those who turn it into an advantage. Most men fall not because they are weak, but because they are predictable. They react to tears, to chaos, to imposter morality, to false friendship, to calculated affection. And each reaction gives something away: time, energy, reputation, power. Pity, when directed at the wrong place, corrodes the most valuable thing in a man: his ability to decide without emotional interference. That is how many lose internal territory long before losing any external battle. Machiavelli never said kindness is weakness. He said kindness without discernment is suicide. Being human is easy. Being human without becoming accessible to those who use that humanity as a gateway into your structure. That is the difficult part. Think of the 6 figures revealed. All different, all dangerous, all predictable once you learn to see them without romanticization. None of them attacks directly. None of them looks like an enemy. And that is precisely why so many advance without resistance. There is only one final rule. Do not offer what is valuable to those who would never have the courage to return something of equal weight. This applies to energy, loyalty, attention, and above all, pity. The question that remains, silent and inevitable, is this: how many of these faces still move around you? And how much of your life have they already taken without you noticing? The world does not respect the good. It respects the necessary. It respects the unshakable. It respects the man who knows exactly where he will never again yield.